But why consult Shakespeare? What can he tell us about our own situation that we haven't heard from, say, Rachel Maddow? Nothing explicit, certainly, given the vast difference between the leader of a 21st century republic and the rulers that Shakespeare and Greenblatt examine, 15th century English monarchs, Julius Caesar, and the quasi-legendary kings Macbeth and Lear. As Greenblatt stipulates in an interview, Shakespeare is not great because he's relevant because he's great. The immediate occasion for writing the book has to do with our current political climate. But not in a direct way. It's absurd to think that someone writing 400 years ago is addressing contemporary American politics. That is how Shakespeare expresses "lock him up." And once in power, Richard finds himself still dissatisfied. The prospect of endless winning proves to be a grotesque delusion, Greenblatt writes. Who was it again who warned that we might get tired of winning? But Richard, unlike a certain other ruler with authoritarian impulses, isn't a blowhard or a braggart. He boasts about his schemes to his henchmen, or in soliloquies to the audience, but when offered the crown, he makes a show of needing to be talked into accepting. So much is my poverty of spirit, so mighty and so many my defects, that I would rather hide me from my greatness, he declares, in words that have never passed the lips of anyone currently occupying the White House. And he is devoid of personal vanity. He is ugly, a hunchback with a withered arm, and he knows it and makes no effort to hide it. If anything, his ugliness makes his triumph more satisfying when, through eloquence and sheer force of will, he wins the hand of the widowed princess whose husband and father-in-law, King Henry VI, were killed by Richard and his brothers. When you're a duke, they let you do it. You can do anything. Richard's ugliness is both the manifestation of his wickedness and an explanation for it. He lusts for power to compensate for the fact that he was unloved, even by his mother. Why, love forswore me in my mother's womb, Richard muses bitterly, in an earlier play by Shakespeare, Henry VI, Part 3. She did corrupt frail nature with some bribe, to shrink mine arm up like a withered shrub, to make an envious mountain on my back, where sits deformity to mock my body. This is not a retrospective insight, the result of hearing angry chants of "lock her up," rise from a sea of red hats. 20 years ago, in Shakespeare, The Invention of the Human, the great critic Harold Bloom wrote that Shakespeare's greatest originality in Richard III is not so much Richard himself as it is the hero-villain's startlingly intimate relationship with the audience. Richard co-opts us as fellow torturers, sharing guilty pleasures with the added frisson that we may join the victims, if the dominant hunchback detects any failure in our complicity.